Kentucky's next to last. They would be ranked next to last. Vanderbilt's actually got a pretty damn good football team. South Carolina plays hard. Arkansas has a pulse. Auburn's really good on D. They've given away games. They're not near as bad as their record, shows. And Florida's trending in the right way. That I don't know how many more wins they have because they have to play Georgia and Texas on the way out. But they do host Ole Miss, and they got Florida State, who's awful. But yeah, Kentucky they're terrible. They're that's a super. They were ranked like 125th in offensive scoring efficiency going into last weekend, and they didn't score against Auburn. So there you go, man. I think that burns him up, and I'm not sure Ole Miss can win the college. They're definitely not winning it, but I'm not sure Ole Miss can make the college football playoff even if they win out. But one more loss and I don't know, you end up in Tampa or Jacksonville or I don't even know all the bowl ties now. They shuffle in and out. Maybe Orlando.
So
I got to see where everybody's going to go. We're going to have some 2-loss teams go from the league because they will have better wins,
right?
And they won't have a Kentucky loss. So we're still staying on the same ones: Georgia and Texas A&M and Tennessee and Alabama and possibly LSU. Although Bama and LSU will be in an elimination game, and that's if they stay clean. After that,
right?
But that'll be wild. They're going to take off this week, and we got the cocktail party. So we'll look at that. We are and look, man. Obviously Georgia should win, but I don't know. Maybe Florida can put up a fight. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. Your SEC Insider Hit is presented by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds Show. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I'm your host, Bo Bounds. You can watch the show right now on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. You can see the helmets that I decided to put up on the studio set this week. They either won or had won the week before or played well if you're Vandy. Vandy is, when you play Texas that way,
man,
you get to stay up on the set. And so y'all can see our cool set, all the knickknacks that we have up here, different things. We've decorated it. We got a little, I don't know if Christmas is it, but holiday flavor with all the Tito's stuff that they sent us. And I think it looks good. I really do. So YouTube, search Out of Bounds Sports. Would love for you to subscribe, watch a little bit of the show. I'm the bald guy with the thick glasses on the show that's talking.
Yeah.
And trying to think what else. We may need to add some things. I don't know if I want to switch out one of the helmets. Arkansas smoked Mississippi State, and because they play Ole Miss, I kind of feel like they get to stay. I got to think about the Gators. Is that one Auburn win enough for them to get up there? And trying to kind of think who else I could go with.
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
They've blown too many games.
Okay.
They just, maybe that was the turning point.
Well, there's not enough room for a turning. There's not enough time for a turning point. They let too many games go, but there will be a lot of what might have been with Auburn had they just gone out and gotten a quarterback. They're going to load the boat, and they're going to go get one.
Speaking
who do they have left? They got Vandy at home this weekend. That's winnable. Then they're off. Then they can beat La Monroe.
right.
Then they got A&M at home. Probably not. And then at Bama. Ooh, goodness, they did. Starting with the Cal game and then letting Arkansas beat them. Letting Oklahoma beat them. Letting Missouri beat them. That's it. Yeah. Boy, they could have had a good year. Golly. Auburn.
Speaking of the
Yeah, they could have ended up in a Florida Bowl.
Oh,
Gotten a little momentum, but they stay with Peyton Thorne. What were you saying?
so speaking of what might have been, we were talking obviously about the games that Mississippi State could have won. Which is there a game that you go back to for this so far this year and say that game would be the one that you would have liked to have stolen? Is it the A&M game?
No, it's the I think I'm gonna go with the Arizona State game.
Really? Oh, because a turning point.
Yeah, they played so poorly.
Sure.
I mean, Toledo was embarrassing at
Right.
41-17.
Right, but
But I even go the week before where they were down at 1 point 30-7 and they rolled back, but they didn't score any points in the and what was that guy's name? Scatabo?
Scatabo.
Scatabo. He's like 5'8", 220
And was toting it.
and was just a wrecking crew, a bowling ball
I mean,
running through that defense.
Cam.
So I know people would
Scatabo.
think I'm crazy not saying Toledo,
I
which
feel-
is one of the most embarrassing losses in the history of the program.
sure.
I really go before that to Arizona State.
So are you going with you feel like if they'd have won that Arizona State game, Toledo game never happens?
I don't know about that.
Okay. It's just the Arizona State game. Yeah,
I know someone connected with the Toledo program that told me that Jason Campbell knew that they were coming down
yeah.
and they were winning the game after watching the tape. That should look. Dan Mullen told people that you need to listen when a coach is. Most of the time, coaches aren't that confident.
Right. Oh, no.
They feel good about it. But when Dan Mullen told someone here that they had watched the tape of Moorhead's team that first year that Moorhead took over, and Dan was kind of in transition at Florida.
Right.
So Moorhead had technically had the upper hand with what Dan had left in Starkville.
Yes.
Dan told someone on Tuesday night, Monday, but I think Tuesday night of that week, he said, we're going to beat their blank. Now, they didn't, but they still won.
Right.
Okay? And winning's winning. Talk about it all the time. In Twitter world, it's got to be pretty.
Sure.
Nobody cares whether you win business today or win a game. So Dan told a friend, I'm at a party on Friday night at this super duper, he's a great guy, but he's one of the top 20 boosters, probably top 10 at Mississippi State. He's got a beautiful home in Starkville. He had flown in from Houston, Texas. I'm standing there with a group, and the guy goes, Dan said this, and I said, it's curtains over. Yeah. This game is done. Dan Mullen doesn't look at that tape and think, and so he went out and he won the game. He mucked it all up, made it super brilliant game plan by he and Grantham. They mucked it all up, made it really ugly, knew exactly when Mississippi State, because they knew the roster, subbed in a walk-on safety, threw it over them, won the game, partied all the way back to Gainesville. When someone in the world of college football that I know told me that Jason Candle and his defensive coordinator looked at the tape and said, we are going to win. Yeah. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
That's also kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because it's a MAC team.
Right.
It's a little bit different. Remember, I mean, Dan was still bringing good talent into Davis Wade that week. It wasn't as much as he wanted or as much as he had the next year with, Kyle Trask and who's the tight end at the Falcons?
Oh, Lord, Pitts.
Yeah. But they still had players.
Right.
Okay. So it's the Arizona State game to me, even before Toledo, which I think a lot of people will disagree with, and I don't care. That's where I start with. I mean, that was just laying an egg out there.
I'm with you. And on a more national stage, even. Not that matters.
Well, no, that doesn't have anything to do with it. But the game was an also ran game. Nobody cared about it in the world of college football because it was Mississippi State and Arizona State at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
But I think that when you allow a guy like that, I understand that he's a talented player, but you face running backs even much better than him on a weekly basis in the SEC. When you allow him to run through your defense like it's a a high school team playing the 7th grade team.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah. All right, flip it. Ole Miss.
It's Kentucky. It will go down
far.
as one of their worst losses in the history of their program, too. I mean, yes, the Toledo is even more, it's 41-17.
Sure.
It's a G5 MAC program. But Ole Miss, I questioned everybody and anybody in the Ole Miss family, is this your most talented team? And I was told yes. And I said, even more than 2015, and we broke it down all spring and summer.
Right.
If you could tell, I was not sold. But I was like, okay, you spent a fortune. And I don't blame him. I'm not blaming him. Walker did what he was supposed to do.
Yes.
He gave Lane and the staff all the resources that they needed to go shop for the groceries. And you can't lose to Kentucky. You can't be an 18-point favorite, and you can't lose at home to a Kentucky team that doesn't even have a pulse on offense. You can't do it. Pete Golding kept you in that game. I mean, Pete Golding kept you in the LSU game. Finally, I mean, you can't ask him. It's not realistic to be 1983 football. That's kind of what Mississippi State relied on, actually, if they were ever going to win for decades. Lane can't ask Pete to make teams go, not score every single possession the way the game's played this day and age, especially an LSU team with Nussmeier and those two wide receivers.
Right.
But the Kentucky loss is the loss of this. Look, Mississippi State wasn't even supposed to be good. Their coach died. They named Zach Arnett. They now have Jeff Levy, who has no head coaching experience, and they have the most inexperienced staff in the SEC, even way behind Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Because Vanderbilt went and got 2 veterans as their offensive coordinator and chief consultant to Clark Lee, which I think is what Mississippi State needs to do in the offseason. If they're smart, they go get a guy who's hung it up, who's chief consultant to Levy, and they go get a DC who is top 10% play caller. It can be at the G5. I don't care what level you can call plays, you can call plays.
Sure.
If you're phenomenal at high school calling plays, you're amazing. College, NFL. If this is going to work, you need to surround him with a couple of veterans. That's what they did with Clark Lee.
Yeah.
And now, Vanderbilt has a shot for bowl eligibility, which is incredible. Don't they have one more?
I think they may have one. Nah.
Okay, so they have to go to Auburn. That's winnable.
That is winnable.
They host South Carolina. That's winnable.
Oh, that's a winnable ball game.
They go to LSU. I don't think that's winnable.
It's not winnable.
And they host Tennessee. Believe it or not,
it's weird.
The way that Nico is talented but young, and he's just like any player, okay, like Van Buren.
Right.
And Nico has a much better supporting cast. And redshirted last year. So that's why you're going to give Van Buren a pass on a lot of the plays that he's a true freshman. Nico's a redshirt. But that's a winnable game in Nashville for Vanderbilt.
It 100% is. It is
So-
in Nashville, you said? Yeah, okay. That's
It's better than being in Neyland.
oh, yeah.
I mean,
Though didn't they march in there recently and take one from them in Neyland a few years back?
they may have with
They snuck one.
Jeremy Pruitt or Derek Dooley. I don't
Yeah.
know. I can't remember,
Well,
Jackson.
I feel like it was Pruitt, but that's just
I mean, Derek Dooley was I don't even know how to say how bad a hire Derek Dooley was for the University of Tennessee. It's one of the worst hires in the SEC, and that's I mean, you got Kroom, Ogeron, Mike Shula,
2017.
Brian Harsin, Eddie O's got a national championship, but that's just a weird deal. Chad Morris at Arkansas.
He thumped.
Trying to think. Oh, Will Muschamp, South Carolina and Florida. Ron Zook at Florida. We could go on and on.
Vandy beat Tennessee 42-24 in 2017.
Okay, was that kind of sounds like Jeremy Pruitt to
Yeah, I
me.
think so.
Okay. Any the one that said he didn't know what asparagus was?
No way. Shut up.
Is that right?
No way he said that.
I think he did.
He doesn't look like an asparagus guy to give him credit here.
No, he's meeting taters.
At all.
He's meeting taters.
Oh no, was it Bush Jones? It was Butch.
It may have been Butch Jones.
It was Butch.
Okay.
I forget about him.
I forgot about Butch Jones.
Very
Man.
forgettable guy.
Wow. Ooh.
He's over there at Arkansas State hanging out.
Hot garbage.
Is he still at Arkansas State?
He's still there.
No way.
He is.
Okay. Well, how about this?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
He's winning this year.
How many guys are going to walk in their Christmas party? Top salesman, top 3 salesmen in the company, and just do this.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Especially if they're single and talking to
right.
a lady friend.
I'd
Do you think that works at the bar at Bravo on a Thursday night?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
It can.
Or do they say it's pretty simple, I make money, Google me?
That's still winning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Wow.
It can work for you.
For our listeners, that's Kurt Signetti, the head football coach for the Indiana Hoosiers, who were 8-0.
Bruh.
For what?
Who did that? You put that on there? Who is that?
I have no idea.
It's just a random?
Yeah, I got you a soundboard. There's a bunch more on there.
Okay.
That's not mine.
I know.
Okay.
I think it's funny, though.
I do like it. That's a dope sound.
Cracks me up, man.
I might need that as my text message ringtone.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's a good one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I like here. Good morning. Welcome in. We are the Out of Bounds Show. ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And let's see what this is. Oh, let's see what this is.
Is that one of those little...
That's a burp.
That's a burp?
Yeah.
Nice.
I could see Jeremy Pruitt doing that.
Yeah. He really said something about he doesn't know what asparagus is.
It was something like that.
Way.
Yeah. It was real. It was dumb.
Oh, that's on par. Oh, my gosh. I ain't never had none of that. That a boy, Jeremy Pruitt. That's verbatim.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. Nah, I knew. He says he claims that he knows what it was, but he's never had any of it. Yeah.
I ain't never had any asparagus.
Man,
meat and taters.
He looks like...
No, that's double meat, double taters.
Yeah.
Double gravy. Double
He
cornbread.
kind of looks like gravy.
Double sweet tea. He does look like gravy.
He kind of does.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
All right, here's what Mississippi State needs.
If you're smart, you go get somebody that's 300 pounds and smell like bacon that's ready to come out the end because we need defensive linemen.
Can they pull a Vanderbilt and go and put a couple of really big-time coaches around Jeff Lebby and save this thing? They hired Tim Beck, who's the offensive coordinator at Vanderbilt. He was at New Mexico State with Diego Pavia.
Right.
And then Jerry Kill was the head coach at New Mexico State, and he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. He's older. He doesn't have to, he's got retirement money and pension and whatever. And they brought Jerry Kill in as a chief consultant around Clark Lee, and Clark Lee has saved his job.
Yeah.
He was fired. Should have been fired last year. I think he was 10-34 or something going into the season. Just a wreck. They were beyond god-awful on offense, which wasn't surprising. And he hires Tim Beck as the offensive coordinator and lands Diego Pavia and a couple other starters. They also hired 2 other assistants from New Mexico State. So Jerry Kill was just a guy who could win above talent. They beat Auburn last year at Auburn with Diego Pavia. It's one of the most extraordinary, stories in college football.
Yeah.
Another topic is the cocktail party this weekend. Georgia, Florida, Georgia. I have been. If you ever get to go down and play golf at TPC or wherever you want to play in the Jacksonville area. Do a buddy's trip, guys trip, and go the game. I did not think that it would have the ambiance and the sizzle and the cool factor because it's on a neutral field. Bartu and I spent the weekend down there and had an absolute blast. As y'all know, if you've been down there to the Gator Bowl or Jacksonville Jaguars game or the cocktail party, you stay at any of the downtown hotels and you're literally 5 minutes from the stadium, which is nice Because when you're like in Miami and you stay in South Beach, it takes 45 minutes plus to get out to Dolphin Stadium, which is miserable. I'm not doing that ever again, unless somebody's in the national championship game, which is, 0.0001% chance. And so it's a cool factor. It's another one of those airports you fly into that's small. So it's easy to just jump in the Uber and be at the hotel downtown. They're partying like crazy on Friday. Georgia and Florida people everywhere. And every other parking lot is either Georgia or Florida. That's how they do it. And they get after it.
Oh, that's cool.
Jeff Tanner, who designed this studio, met us down there. Claims to be a Gator fan, and I like to give him a hard time about it. Of course, he lives in Georgia now. And we all had an unbelievable time, but I didn't know that they tailgated at the level they do at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. And it is big fun. We stayed at Florida's hotel. I can't remember if it was a Hilton or a Hyatt downtown, but it was awesome. Same one we stayed at for the Gator Bowl when Mullen and the Dogs beat Michigan 52-17. But they are throwing down there. Now, I don't know if the game will be close, but I sure as heck hope it will. I know Ole Miss fans are hoping for a super physical game this weekend because they pulled Georgia in Oxford next weekend at 2:30. But first things first, you got to beat Arkansas, and Georgia's got to beat Florida. So you definitely can't look ahead in the world of college football. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by Southern Ag Credit in Ridgeland, financing life outside the city limits.